Is Bitcoin still in an accelerated cycle? We'll be talking about the reaccumulation periods in the cycle and comparing them across market cycles, and then talking about the rate of acceleration that still remains in this current 2024 cycle. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy content like this going forward, and let's dive right into it. So this is clearly a reaccumulation range around old all-time highs. The old all-time highs being these black horizontals. In the previous cycle, we had a multi-week reaccumulation range, very standard, sideways pretty much. But in 2017, we saw a zigzagging, more volatile reaccumulation range around old all-time highs, rejecting from old all-time highs, overextending beyond there, and dipping beyond there. It was quite a messy reaccumulation period compared to the very short sideways, pretty standard one in 2021. And of course, in 2013, we had little to no consolidation before we overextended and rallied to new all-time highs and beyond. So this is definitely the longest reaccumulation range around old all-time high regions. And if we talk about extensions beyond the old all-time high resistance, and we compare across cycles how long this has typically lasted, it took 273 days from old all-time high break to new all-time highs in the 2013 cycle. In the 2017 cycle, however, this was slightly shorter at 250 days. So it took 250 days for Bitcoin to break old all-time high resistance and rally to new all-time highs before peaking in the bull market. In 2021, this was actually even longer at 329 days. So breaking beyond 20K got us to 69K within 329 days. So this being the longest reaccumulation period, how long could we potentially expect price to rally for in terms of days? And at the shortest, it would be 250 days, and at longest, 329 days. So we have to be operating within the construct of these timeframes, essentially. So if we were to see a breakout right now, in this moment, and see price rally to new all-time highs and to price discovery to begin its parabolic phase of the market cycle, then a 250-day period from now would take us to a bull market peak in June 2025. On the other hand, if we were to see the longer time frame here, comparing to 2021, and we were going to see a 329-day uptrend in the parabolic phase of the cycle, that would get us to August 2025. So approximately a year from now, a little bit less than a year. So it does depend when this reaccumulation phase ends. So the moment we break out, the moment this clock here on these two time frames actually kickstarts, but we haven't broken out from this reaccumulation range. In fact, we're still reaccumulating and moving sideways, and that is historically accurate because historically we tend to still see reaccumulation after the halving some 150 to 160 days after the halving. Because if we look at this period, for example, we've been consolidating in the reaccumulation phase for 133 days. And in 2020, it took 160 days after the halving for Bitcoin to break out from that reaccumulation phase. So if we were to just focus on the 133 days after the halving, the analogous situation here, then in 2020, we were at this same point in the cycle retesting the range low, the second range low, because we have one range low here and one range low here. So retesting this second range low got us into a breakout mood, really. And here we are once again retesting the range low. So isn't that fantastic to see that synchronicity across market cycles 4 years apart? It is quite spectacular to see that the technical predicament is still quite similar this amount of days after having 133 days. So it just looks like, if we look at the market cycles as a whole, that this red phase is coming to a close. Because if we compare this red phase here, this reaccumulation phase, and this reaccumulation phase, they approximately last the same amount of time. And you can see that price is getting to the very end of that reaccumulation phase, and we're getting really close to entering the parabolic phase of the cycle. So we are on the cusp of entering that parabolic phase in the cycle. And if you think about how long it takes for Bitcoin to rally to new all-time highs and to that ultimate bull market peak after the halving, it takes 546 days or 518 days. And of course, this has been taken from this cycle. For example, in 2020 and 2021, it took 546 days after the halving to bull market peak. And in this cycle of 2017, 2016, 2017, it took 518 days after the halving. So it just showcases to us that if it takes 518, 546 days after the halving to rally to a bull market peak, then going back to these charts here, it actually shows to us right over here how much of that time is spent in reaccumulation. And the answer to that is 150 to 160 days, because 250 days to 329 days is how much we should be rallying in a parabolic phase. Whereas pretty much 160 of those days out of the 518, 550 is how much we just waste in reaccumulation. So talking all about these figures, it just gives us a better perspective in terms of where we should be at this same point in the cycle. And 214 days after the halving is typically when we are already breaking out into a new macro uptrend, because 160 days after the halving, well, 214 days after the halving, we should be already on our way to new highs. Because if we look at previous cycles here, we're already in an uptrend. We're already rallying to new all-time highs, as this black circle suggests. 214 days here as well. We're already beginning the uptrend. So if we look at this reaccumulation phase, then this is the phase that we want to be in. Once again, reaccumulation phase here, and this black circled phase is where we want to be in. So we are 150, we're getting, well, it's 133 days, but in the next 3 weeks, it's going to be 153 days. So we'll be getting closer to that breakout moment, but still, technically, we are over 2 months away from breaking out to new all-time highs and really enjoying that price discovery. So if we are to take all of these things into account, having rallied to new all-time highs before the halving here, we're consolidating for almost 6 months now. Historically, this has never been achieved, this new all-time high reaching before the halving. This has never been achieved, and it usually takes 214 days to rally to those new all-time highs after the halving. So if we rallied in mid-March to new all-time highs, then we are 30 days plus 214 days ahead of the cycle, so approximately 260 days. However, of course, we still have, let's say, over 2 months, definitely more than 2 months, 2 months and 3 weeks. So it's getting us closer to 100 days. So we were accelerating in this cycle by 260 days, and now we have a remaining acceleration of 100 days. So this 6-month period of consolidation has really benefited Bitcoin in the sense that we are cutting and reducing the rate of acceleration in the cycle, and it's reduced from 260 days. Now, almost 6 months on, it's reduced to 100 days. So we still have a fair amount of time away before we can reduce the acceleration in the cycle. So if we are to break out in September, late September, early October, and that means we break out 150 to 160 days after the halving, then that's going to be in some 20 to 30 days. So we're going to be still accelerating in the cycle by 2 months at that point. So the question is, do we break out from this reaccumulation phase and enjoy the historically accurate breakouts from the post-halving reaccumulation phase, which tend to be 160 days after the halving? Or do we just continue to consolidate for an extra 100 days in total to reduce the acceleration in the cycle by 100%? So the longer we consolidate, the better it is in reducing the rate of acceleration. But history is suggesting that we're going to be breaking out over the next 30 to 40 days. So how can we marry these two perspectives? How can we reconcile the fact that we might be breaking out in the next 30 to 40 days, but we actually have a remaining rate of acceleration of 100 days? If we are to break out from this reaccumulation phase in 30 to 40 days, then we have still 2 months of remaining acceleration. At this moment, it's 100 days, but how much longer can we consolidate here? And will we really go against the historical halving cycles to consolidate 2 months more than necessary? Maybe instead we'll just have a slightly shorter bull cycle, or maybe we'll have to catch up this reaccumulation a little bit later in new all-time high regions. Maybe we'll have to develop a reaccumulation phase just like this in new all-time high regions to try and catch up that 60-day period, which is going to be remaining in terms of acceleration in the cycle. So in sum, we are accelerating still in the cycle by 100 days. And technically and historically speaking, we should be breaking out in 30 to 40 days, which would give us still a remaining rate of acceleration by 60 days. But could we actually catch up and have price reaccumulate in those price discovery regions to get us to that rate of acceleration of 0, where we actually finally peak in a bull market in a way that is historically accurate and has historically been the case in previous halving cycles, which is 518 to 550 days after the halving. And if that were to be the case, that we reduce this rate of acceleration and everything goes well, then it's going to be a bull market peak in mid-September to mid-October 2025. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy content like this going forward. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Speak to you soon.